It's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this panel, Ruby Rodriquez, Hope and Justice organizer at St. Mary's Center. Ruby is a second-generation immigrant with parents from El Salvador and Guatemala, and is an organizer with 4 years of experience at St. Mary's. Inspired by her parents' struggles, Ruby is dedicated to dismantling systems that perpetuate racialized poverty, housing inequities, and economic injustice. And Ruby, with that, I will hand the floor to you.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you to the Senior Services Coalition for inviting St. Mary's Center once again to participate in this panel. My name is Ruby Rodriguez. I'm the Hope and Justice organizer for the last 4 years. And by the way, who knows St. Mary's Center? Fantastic, great. Well, for those of you who don't know us, we are a community of hope, healing, and justice. We serve and we are dedicated to serve seniors and preschool families in West Oakland. And I have the privilege of introducing you to our senior panel of amazing advocates. I mean, I'm so honored to kind of share about not just the impact they've made just last year, speaking at the Bay Area Finance Authority meetings in San Francisco, specifically prioritizing acutely low-income housing. And these seniors were the only ones there advocating for seniors and for those who've been directly impacted by homelessness. Keith Arivnwine, our president of the Council of Elders for the last 6 years, he was the founder of the Council of Elders, and he was honored in 2023 for the Alameda County Healthcare for the Homeless Hero Award, and was featured in the New York Times article, 30 People Tell Us What Homelessness Looks Like. And then before I get to share more about Keith, I also want to introduce Sheila Gay, who's next to us, recently appointed as the Secretary of the Council of Elders and graduate of Leadership Academies at St. Mary's Center. She leads the Homeless Task Force at the San Leandro Church of Christ, and she's a practicing nurse and former instructor at Laney College. We have, and then now also Arlene Hipp, who's a longtime advocate, educator, and Alameda Continuum of Care NOFO community member, which is funding for housing. And Arlene is a proud alumni of the Leadership Academy at St. Mary's Center, Everyone Home, EBHO, Cal State Hayward, and she began her journey doing the advocacy under Home Together Advisory Committee, and now serves on the Home Together 2026 committee. So let me give it, let's welcome Keith Arivnwine, who's going to be sharing how his journey with advocacy at St. Mary's Center shaped his skills in storytelling and advocacy work.
Well, thank you very much, Ruby. I just want to say I would not be able to forgive myself if I didn't take this opportunity to tell you that you all look amazingly good today. And you know if you look good, you feel good. Therefore, you'll do good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kay Wine, otherwise known as Keith. I'm a graduate of the 2012 Almost Home Winter Shelter at St. Mary's Center in Oakland. I'm also a member of their Hope and Justice team. And not only am I a client there who represents, I'm also the Council of Elders president at St. Mary's Center. And for those of you who don't know what the Council of Elders is, the Council of Elders is a group of 8 seniors that have been involved with St. Mary's Center for a year or longer. We have gone through some things in life and have allowed St. Mary's Center to help us get our lives back in order. We work as examples for new and old clients coming to St. Mary's Center looking for a way to change their lives. We also act as a bridge between clients and staff to help St. Mary's Center run on a much higher level. So I would like everyone here to do me a favor and just take a few moments to check in with yourself and to give yourself permission in allowing me to have your undivided attention. When I first came to St. Mary's Center, I had a lot of baggage, a lot of problems. I had just paroled from St. Quentin State Prison. I was on 3 years parole, 5 years felony probation with a 4-way search clause. You see, back then, you could be on parole and probation at the same time. But St. Mary's Center helped me to solve my problems when everyone else had told me that my problems were unsolvable. I mean, I was so lost. I didn't know what to do because in my heart, I felt so confused. So I went to St. Mary's Center, and they showed me the way. And it's because of St. Mary's Center I have one more day. You know, I really didn't even realize how strong I really was until I had no other choice but to be strong. So if there's anyone here today that is going through something or have gone through something, do like I did. Find someone who has gone through the same thing that you're going through, and they made it out successfully. Use their guidance, their directions, their footsteps as a roadmap to help to get you to wherever you're trying to get to. Now, this worked for me, and I'm sure it could work for you. Now, I want to share a secret that St. Mary's Center helped me to realize, and that is, I cannot choose my future. I could only choose my habits, and then my habits would choose my future. You know, my habits took me to some places that I thought I would never go. Like in 2013, I had graduated from the Almost Home Winter Shelter at St. Mary's Center. And they asked me to speak at their annual gala about, you know, my journey from prison to the winter shelter to having my own place, which I've had now over 12 years thanks to St. Mary's Center. And I know the only reason I've been able to live this healthy, normal, and productive lifestyle is because of the retraining I received while I was in the Almost Home Winter Shelter at St. Mary's Center. So since then, let me tell you this. The gala is a celebration up at the Mormon Temple where we all come together, seniors like myself, and we celebrate what St. Mary's have done to help people, you know, to get their lives back in order. And after successfully speaking at the gala, I needed a little more. So I needed a seat at the table. I needed a bigger microphone. I needed a platform to work from. So I got together with a few clients at St. Mary's Center, and we came up with the Council of Elders. It was born, and we got with the executive director, which happened to be Carl Johnson at the time in 2014, and we put everything into perspective. But it wasn't over then. After that, you know how advocating is. You get a little bit, and you want a little bit more. It's like an addiction. So next, I started advocating for food stamps for seniors on a fixed income because, you know, I thought it was so unfair that being on a fixed income, you wasn't allowed to get food stamps. You know, that wasn't fair. So after getting on that team and advocating for that, we finally got that across the finish line. And for those of you who are a senior on a fixed income and you get food stamps, you are quite welcome. All right. So anyway, after that, it happened. The pandemic came and everything shut down, including St. Mary's Center. And the only means of communication at that time we had was the cell phone. So I get a call one day from the director of community outreaches and services at that time, which was Janie Castell, and told me she had a pilot program and asked would I be interested in participating in it. She said they would give me a computer, they would teach me how to operate it, they would put Wi-Fi in my house, and at the end of completing the classes, they would give me a $300 stipend. So I said, yeah, why not? You know, but really, you guys, I was so so nervous because computers had always intimidated me. But I put my big boy's pants on and I stepped out of my comfort zone. And after completing that, it changed my life. And because of that, St. Mary's Centers have been able to have meetings on Zoom, especially during the pandemic. I mean, we were able to communicate with each other. Nobody felt alone. And that is very important, especially during that time, because a lot of people was feeling alone. Even though everyone's saying we're all in this together. Were we? But now, realistically, after that, and I finally completed the program, and I completed the program in the We Connect program. And after that, I realized, I don't know if this is really the future. I would have chose for myself, but keep in mind, I remember that I could not choose my future. I could only choose my habits. So this was the future that my habits chose for me. And I am so happy that they did. My name is Keith K. Wine. I'm the president of the Council of Elders at St. Mary's Center. And thank you all very much for the privilege of your time.
Thank you, K. Wine. Appreciate the reminder. Now, Sheila Gay, can you please share more about your experiences with the Bay Area Finance Authority in San Francisco and your key insights and any other knowledge you acquired during, your past participation in the leadership academies and, just any things that you've taken away from your involvement.
Thank you, Ruby. First of all, let me say how impressed I am that the number of hands went up when asked, did you know about St. Mary's? I didn't. And what happened was a friend of mine put my name in to attend their leadership academy. First of all, what's a leadership academy? And secondly, why did you do that? I was almost ready to talk myself out of going, but I went. And what happened was life-changing for me. It put a spin on what I was really doing in life. I was activating and not knowing it. I was an activist and didn't know it. So now I have a title. Thanks to St. Mary's, I have a lot of education in leadership and politics. What happened was, while I was attending the Leadership Academy, as happens at St. Mary's, two opportunities arose, and I was asked to join the Hope and Justice Committee. And again, I'm hesitant, but I said, why not? And what I found out about the Hope and Justice Committee, that they were working with unhoused individuals in real time. So what we were doing was right there. We were doing it with the community. The next opportunity that came up was to work with the senior advocacy group that was working on the bond for last year that was going to create a number of opportunities in housing, because the amount of the bond was $20 billion, and it was to be shared among the 9 counties. And I refer to the Bay Area housing as BAFA because it's a mouthful to say, and a lot of times people don't even remember that. But what BAFA was, their responsibility was the wording on the bill and also where the monies were going to be placed. So, you have to travel, you have to follow the paperwork and the money. Our goal at BAFA was to be visible for the people who could not speak for themselves. So every chance we got to get out front and in front and talk about what the community needed and where that money needed to go, we were there. One of the things we had to learn was the proper time and place to do things. So we had a speed course in politics, 101, okay? But the type of person I am, I had to go home and do some research. I wanted to know more about the organization. I also wanted to know more about the bond. So we attended every meeting that we could that we were able to get before them and talk. And we had the same message. And that is that housing is a human right. And that it is important that everyone have a place to stay. Because when you strip a person of their basic needs, that person fails to exist. I'm a working registered nurse, and my concern when I came in was the longer the period of time a person stayed unhoused, the greater the risk of mental illness. And how was that going to be addressed? Another thing that I found in attending these meetings, that when people saw you, they got to know you. So we had an agenda. We said the same thing every time we attended a meeting. Okay? If we didn't verbally say it, we had signs. Read while we're here. So we got to be known as the group from St. Mary's advocating for the unhoused and for the bond. But one thing that was our concern was the language in the bond. The bond indicated low-income housing. And we needed extremely low-income housing because there's a big difference. Okay. We were able to achieve that, not just by ourselves, but we were able to champion that, and we got that. After working on the bond, and it got to the ballot, but it was taken off before it went to the voters. And of course, for anybody in here that works, and especially works with the unhoused, you feel defeated at first. But it was not a defeat. It really, in one way, was a win, because when it comes back, we're so much more prepared. We are not going to start at the beginning. We're going to start where we left off. And we have a wealth of information now that we can use that will make things better. Another thing with St. Mary's is they really want you to succeed. Keith is a living example. I didn't come through their program. I can tell you, when I first came to St. Mary's, I have a UC Berkeley education. I thought I was all of that and more. Okay? It didn't take but one meeting for me to see all the people who were survivors of being unhoused, for my ego to go down and wait for people to grab me and take me by the hand and take me on the tour. Mm-hmm. I commend them for having the resilience to go through what they went through. I met a woman who had cancer, third stage cancer. And she survived cancer and being unhoused. I can tell you right now, as a registered nurse, knowing what I know about cancer, I don't know if that would have been me. So when you work with people that have lived what you are advocating and championing for, it makes it so much easier. So what I did in my downtime, whenever that was, I asked myself a couple of questions. Why am I doing this? My answer to myself is, if not me, Who? My next question was, what was I getting out of this? What I got was a lot of personal gratification. I got the knowledge of knowing why I was here, and I had a purpose. And I was not working by myself, and nothing that any of us accomplish in this room is going to be accomplished by one. It took the teamwork, it took effort on everybody's account, but I also know that I work with somebody greater than man. I have a Heavenly Father, and He guides my footsteps. So I couldn't have not gone to St. Mary's if I wanted to. That was predestined. And the next thing that I got out of it, oh, you know, when you first start your advocacy, you are so hyped up and you're just looking for areas to go and spread your knowledge. So I went to my church. I said, you know what? We need to have a housing ministry. And they said, you know what, Sheila? You would be good for that. Wasn't quite the response I was looking for. But, you know, you go with the flow. I can honestly say there was another avenue of learning for me. I am now the ministry of the unhoused. My biggest thing is the commitment that one brings to the committee. I don't put prerequisites out. I just say you have to care. Because one of the biggest things I learned in dealing one-on-one with people who are having issues and issues of any kind, they know when you are sincere about what you're doing.
Yes.
So you cannot fake it. Mm-hmm. You have to be real. And in being real, it takes a lot out of you. You have to go to the gas station every day and fill up because you tend to want to solve everybody's problem. And you know that's not realistic. So the group of people that work with me, not work for me, but work with me, have the same commitment that I have. And we want to make a difference. And I can tell you that maybe the advocacy was in me and I didn't see it, but I can thank St. Mary's today for pulling that out and showing me how to utilize what my God-given talent is. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Sheila. And now we're going to hear from Arlene, who will share more on her thoughts on working to align demands with the right targets through a deep understanding of local and state government. Welcome, Arlene.
I'm always really nervy getting in front, and it's really funny because I'm in front over the years a lot, but I still am not comfortable. But nonetheless, I always try to write something. And as I began to write for this event, my thoughts turned to the recent election and the installation of this 47th president. As we emerged from the pandemic in 2023, we saw a surge in political will to keep this country moving forward. Resources were flowing freely. There was no scarcity of funding or lack of collaboration for the betterment of our communities and our society. We worked together. Now with a new commander-in-chief, California finds itself in the crosshairs. I was thinking about the various groups that I participate with, individuals and families, both documented and undocumented, face threats of deportation and prompting rapid responses to ensure that they know their rights. That's been a big thing that's going on across the state with some of the organizations that I participate with. I look at the raging fires in Southern California, which are destroying homes, businesses, and lives, while climate change continues to wreak havoc across this country. The unhoused are threatened with sweeps from grants passed legislation, and many are on wait lists for affordable house up to and over 10 years, which is outrageous. I'm an Oakland resident, and Oakland is grappling with a budget deficit, leading to closures of fire departments and schools, with reductions of funding for social services and the merging or elimination of positions. Recalls of the district attorney and mayor of Oakland, funded by wealthy groups, which has impacted our voting choice and will cost millions of dollars in order to hold a special election, which Oakland does not have. The Bay Area Housing Finance group did not make it to the ballot due to interference from certain groups and what they said is language, leaving us without a desperately needed, dedicated funding stream for housing. There is currently a proposal to increase the sales tax for Oakland, while corporate taxes remain at an all-time low of 21%, with corporations not paying their fair share. As I sat there thinking about this, and I guess my focus is on the continuum of care and the Home Together plan. And I thought about my participation with the organizations and various agencies across the state of varying age groups, not just of seniors, but also of youth who are in community colleges and don't have housing. And so one of the things that I really thought about was the introduction of diverse housing models targeting homeless prevention with a focus on not only seniors, but specifically on seniors, which is the fastest growing population of homeless. Encourage shared housing options for individuals who need or prefer a roommate instead of only putting one person in a place, which will free up more resources if we begin to look at new models, which is really important. I look at those who have been homeless for 30 years or more, and some need supervised housing and in-home services tailored for populations facing multiple and complex challenges. I was on a Home Together plan, and it was a 5-year window that it was done with. And one of the things that came out of that, not only with the continuum of care, but just in general, even from the pandemic, was we collected a lot of data, but the data was not disaggregated. We need to disaggregate data. And also, we want to do this to remove discriminatory practices from the systems that distribute services. I think that's really important across the board for all populations. We want to include household management questions in intake assessments to support those who need guidance and training. And we also need to consider their previous work and projects prior to their crisis, because most of the time when people come to agencies and they need assistance, people only meet them right there. They never look at the whole person, only the particular crisis. And those who are coming out of homelessness and trying to rebuild their lives and develop a better quality of life have lives prior to that might be a contribution to some of the agencies, and also be able to assist in program or project development. Oh, I'm going way over. Okay. I also wanted to speak about rapid rehousing. We need to think about better workforce development for those who are only getting the shallow subsidies, not only for those in the low age groups under 50, but also the asset program for those who are over 50 or 55 and want to return back to work. Because there are many that want to return back to work, but now you have a barrier. We want to ensure transferability of social services programs such as Medi-Cal and other public benefits across county lines. It should not be so complicated if someone comes from Contra Costa to Alameda County for their benefits to be transferred over. I really think that. I heard that previously at a meeting I attended, and I think that there's no conversation about that, and I think it needs to be more of that. For processes and designs, I thought we need to utilize databases more effectively by disaggregating data to ensure resources are allocated efficiently and waste is minimalized. I heard the story about $32 million that was on a program in San Francisco, and the building is still sitting empty. What could we do with $32 million in San Francisco? And how many other cities that this is occurring in? We really need to streamline the permitting process for housing construction to expedite projects and reduce costs, considering current value versus, by the time it's done, the future value, which will always be increased. We also need to implement oversight of bids and funding to monitor progress with adjustments or penalties for non-compliance, focus on revising systemic policies and revising laws that create barriers and cause harm. There's a lot of harms being caused to low-income and financially challenged people. We need to start focusing on those laws, not only on the laws with the economics, but also when you look at organizations like real estate investment trusts, financial agencies, which are extracting and manipulating resources that are causing harms to many people who are marginalized and financially challenged. And last but not least, I'm going to say that the gap in inequality is growing, and we really need to think about that. We know that it's growing, but what is causing this harm? Many groups are impacted. We have transition age youth, LGBTQ, students, families, those who have been trafficked or human trafficking, seniors, veterans. We have a multitude of people, and we are all suffering the same. We need to unite and stop being so siloed in order to become more effective, build unity, and do what it is that needs to be done, because this fight ahead that's coming is no joke. And so, with that being said, I'm just going to say, when the divine intersects humanity, identity, a transforming energy is unleashed that redeems time and gives human beings unshakable purpose. We should have unshakable purpose right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arlene. And let's give another round of applause for our panelists. Before I hand it off to Wendy, I just wanted to share, Janie Castillo, our amazing cost director. I wanted to shout out her. I really had the honor and privilege of working with her, and she had been such a great mentor to me. But we are now welcomed by our new cost director, whose name is Reverend Carl Pasquale. He unfortunately had to leave, but I just wanted to echo the fact that our senior leaders, they've, put their hearts into this work. And I can't be more than proud of them for overcoming many of their fears that they've experienced and having to be kind of re-traumatized to have to talk about these issues that they've gone through and continue to face. And so I just want to, give another round of applause to them for being strong leaders and courageous leaders in our community. Thank you. And thanks, Wendy.
And I forgot my disabled community. I did not want to exclude them because I really think that's important.
Yes.
Because it goes hand in hand with the seniors.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I give a special shout out to our Executive Director of St. Mary's Center, Sharon Cornu, for making all this possible, and our Ruby Rodriguez, our coordinator,
Our Hope and Justice
Open Justice organizer. Thank you.
Let me say one thing. This has been so unusual because usually when we go to meetings, they give us a timeline of no more than maybe 2 minutes. Right. So you don't know the struggle we had trying to make sure that we had something to give you. Right. And I really want to thank you for that. I want to thank St. Mary's as a whole for what they do. And I want to thank each and every advocate out in the audience. And I want to say, keep it going. Thank
Yes.
Woo. Thank you to our panel. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Arlene, and thank you, Ruby. More applause, please. I really appreciate the wisdom. Lean in, take care of each other. The teamwork makes the dream work. There's a lot I just learned from this panel.